Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, once reflected in his private writings, "You have authority over your thoughts, not over the events outside you. Recognize this, and you will uncover your true strength." Now picture shouldering the burden of an empire, confronting conflict, betrayal, and the shadow of death, yet maintaining calm, focus, and even compassion. How does someone stay centered amidst such turmoil? The answer lies in what Marcus Aurelius and the Stoic thinkers discovered, an answer modern life is desperately lacking. They mastered a form of self-care not rooted in comfort or distraction, but in discipline, resilience, and profound self-respect. This wasn't about indulgence. It was about forging an inner life so steady that no external disturbance could disturb it. It was about building a bond with oneself so fortified that no storm could dismantle it. In this video, we'll walk through 8 core Stoic habits for self-care, designed to teach you how to cultivate a deep and enduring love for yourself, and how that love makes you unshakable. In today's world, self-care is often misunderstood. It's sold as spa treatments, impulse shopping, and temporary escapes. But what the Stoics teach us is radically different, that real self-care isn't relief, it's renewal. It's not about short-term comfort, but about shaping the mind with intention, fortitude, and purpose. To love yourself in the Stoic tradition is to treat yourself not as fragile, but as worthy of greatness. And that means discipline, it means purpose, it means structure. True Stoic self-care isn't about softness, it's about steadiness. It's not about comfort, it's about capacity. It's not about avoidance, it's about active engagement with reality. These 8 habits, when integrated into your daily life, will teach you to honor your time, elevate your standards, and fortify your peace of mind. They'll build a foundation that no insult, delay, or difficulty can crack. What I'll share with you today isn't theoretical. These are habits forged in battle, tested by emperors, sages, and men who endured far more than we likely ever will. But they left behind a promise. Master these principles, and you will know real strength. You will love yourself with unshakable power, and you will walk through life truly unstoppable. But let me be clear, this isn't about running from pain, nor is it about denying the hard realities of life. It's about meeting them fully, with wisdom, courage, and clarity. Each of these 8 practices builds on the others like a staircase. They require effort, honesty, and perseverance. They aren't easy, but that's exactly why they work. Because what's easy rarely transforms you. As I walk you through these habits, I ask you to listen not just with your ears, but with your intention. Ask yourself, how could I start applying this today? What would my life feel like if I lived these truths fully? The Stoics were human, just like us. They had emotions, they suffered, they struggled. But what made them great wasn't perfection. It was their commitment to returning again and again to the practices that shaped their character. If they could, so can you. Stay with me through the end, because habit 8, which we'll begin with, is more than just a daily tool. It is the anchor that ties all the others together. It's what Marcus Aurelius turned to in his darkest hours. It's what Epictetus taught to prepare for life's pain. And it's the habit that will reshape your entire life, if you let it. So let's begin this journey into Stoic self-care. These aren't ideas frozen in time. They are living wisdom for those of us trying to walk through a noisy, chaotic world with strength, dignity, and purpose. By the end, you won't just understand Stoic self-care, you'll be ready to live it. And when you do, you'll experience a love for yourself that no one else can give you, and no challenge can take from you. But before we start, take a breath. Reflect on this truth. Self-love starts with awareness. It starts with realizing that you are worthy of discipline, worthy of care, and worthy of deep respect. To set this intention in motion, leave this phrase in the comments. I respect myself. This isn't just a sentence, it's a statement of power. It tells the world, and more importantly your own mind, that you're ready to live like a Stoic. Say it, write it, believe it. I respect myself. Habit 8. The discipline of morning reflection. Every morning you face a decision, and most people lose the battle before they even rise. They reach for their phones, dive into news, messages, and notifications, and within moments, their attention is scattered. Their peace is gone. Their mood belongs to someone else. Before they've even taken their first conscious breath, they've handed control of their day to the outside world. The Stoics chose differently. For them, morning was sacred, a moment of preparation, of grounding, of fortifying the soul before facing the day's tests. This brings us to one of the most powerful self-care habits you can adopt, the Stoic ritual of morning reflection. Marcus Aurelius began each day by journaling what we now read as meditations. But those words weren't meant for others. They were notes to himself, mental training, personal reminders of how to live with virtue, clarity, and restraint. One passage reads, "When you wake, tell yourself, today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, arrogance, deceit, selfishness, hostility. These people do not know good from evil." He wasn't being negative. He was being ready. By acknowledging in advance the likelihood of hardship, Marcus trained himself not to be caught off guard and not to resent others when they acted in predictable ways. That is true self-care. Owning your mindset before the world gets a chance to shape it for you. So ask yourself, how often do I begin my day in a rush, already stressed, already behind? That's how most people live, reacting instead of responding. But the Stoics offer a better path. This habit isn't about adding something to your to-do list. It's about reclaiming ownership of your mind in the first few moments of the day. With daily reflection, you learn to construct a fortress of calm before stepping into the battlefield of life. What does that look like in practice? It can be as simple as sitting still and asking, what is under my control today? What is not? How can I live with virtue regardless of circumstances? These questions are not luxuries. They are mental weapons. Epictetus taught, freedom begins with clarity. Some things are up to us, some are not. And remembering that, first thing in the morning, can protect you from draining your energy on things that don't belong to you. Another key piece? Setting your intentions in virtue. The Stoics believed that real good lies only in virtue. Wisdom, justice, courage, temperance. Imagine starting your day like this. Today, I will choose wisdom. I will treat others justly. I will face fear with courage. I will control my impulses with temperance. Not affirmations, commitments. These intentions frame your decisions before the world tempts you with distraction, anger, or fear. And they create alignment between who you say you are and how you act. That alignment? That's deep self-respect. Modern science now supports what the Stoics knew. Research shows the first minutes after waking impact your focus, mood, and resilience all day. A chaotic morning leads to a reactive mind. A reflective morning leads to emotional strength. The Stoics didn't have phones. They didn't need them. Their mornings were already filled with temptation, comfort, distraction, fear. But they met the day like warriors. So can you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, When you have trouble getting out of bed, remind yourself, I rise to do the work of a human being. Morning reflection was a duty, not a luxury. And if an emperor could find time for that, so can you. Picture this. You wake. You resist the urge to scroll. You sit in silence. You breathe. You acknowledge the day will bring tests. You declare how you'll respond. In that moment, you've already won a battle most people don't even know exists. You've chosen presence over panic. And later, when the world tests you, you'll recall that still moment and say, I knew this would happen. I've already chosen how to respond. That is power. But there's one more dimension here. Gratitude. The Stoics are often misunderstood as cold, but they were deeply grateful for life. Seneca once wrote, "It's not that life is short, but that we waste much of it." Each morning is not owed to you. It's a gift. So when you reflect, don't just prepare. Give thanks. Say, I didn't earn this day, but I have it. I will not waste it. That shift in mindset, from entitlement to gratitude, transforms everything. And that transformation is what self-care is truly about. How long does this practice take? 5 minutes is enough. But consistency is everything. This is your mental training session, your workout for the soul. And if you miss a day, don't punish yourself. Just return, again and again. That's the Stoic way. You won't always feel like doing it. That's okay. Do it anyway. Because self-love isn't about always succeeding. It's about always returning. Each morning is a clean slate, a new chance to honor your soul with discipline. In today's world, people chase self-care through food, exercise, therapy, and routines. These are good. But if you don't begin the day with clarity, your actions are fragile. With reflection, everything gains purpose. You don't just go to the gym, you strengthen your body with intention. You don't just eat, you nourish yourself with awareness. You don't just work, you meet challenges with courage and virtue. That's why the Stoics placed such importance on morning reflection, because it changes the lens through which you see the day. And that shift changes your life. At its core, this habit is love. Not the shallow kind, but the kind that says, I am worthy of this time. I am worthy of focus. I am worthy of peace. That's not selfishness, that's strength. And only from that foundation can you truly serve others, face trials with dignity, and live fully. So tomorrow morning, don't let the noise win. Don't hand your soul over before you've claimed it. Sit, breathe, reflect. Decide who you'll be. Give thanks. Do this often enough, and you'll notice the change, not just in your mornings, but in your life. You'll walk with calm. You'll respond with strength. You'll carry peace inside you no matter what comes. That is real self-care. That is Stoic self-love. That is Habit 8, the discipline of morning reflection. Habit 7, the art of saying no, protecting your time and energy. One of the greatest modern myths is that we can say yes to everything, be everywhere, please everyone, and still find peace. People overload their calendars with tasks, accept invitations they dread, and drain themselves dry trying to keep up appearances. By nightfall, they feel scattered, spent, and strangely empty. The Stoics, however, understood something few today are willing to admit. Your time and energy are sacred. To waste them carelessly is to abandon yourself. This brings us to the 7th Stoic habit of self-care, learning to say no, not from ego, but from clarity, not to reject others, but to honor your own limits. The Roman philosopher Seneca wrote a powerful essay called on the shortness of life. In it, he made a simple but cutting observation. Life is not too short. We just waste much of it. Think about that. Every time you scroll through nonsense, every time you say yes out of guilt, every time you agree to something that depletes you, that's not just a moment gone. It's your life slipping through your fingers. Seneca went further. He pointed out how people defend their money with fierce vigilance, but let anyone steal their time. A pickpocket would be punished. But someone who constantly interrupts you, distracts you, or demands what you don't want to give, often gets a free pass. The Stoic path is different. It teaches you to guard your hours like your most valuable currency. Because that's exactly what they are. In the modern world, this truth is more urgent than ever. Your phone pings, your inbox fills, your schedule collapses under its own weight. You say yes to every meeting, every dinner, every obligation, and soon you don't even remember what matters to you. But saying yes to everything is a slow form of self-erasure. The Stoics would say, to live well, you must set boundaries. Not out of selfishness, but because without limits, nothing meaningful survives. So, what does this look like in real life? Start here. Know what truly matters to you. Epictetus told his students, if you aim to grow wiser, be content to be misunderstood. He meant that personal growth requires sacrifice, and sometimes that sacrifice is your image in others' eyes. If your goal is inner peace, you must be willing to disappoint others to stay loyal to yourself. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to protect his inner fortress, that private part of the mind untouched by gossip, distraction, or noise. Saying no is how you defend that fortress. Picture this. A friend invites you to something you have no interest in. You feel the pull to accept, just to avoid awkwardness. But deep down, you know attending will drain you. The Stoic way is to pause and ask, what am I saying no to by saying yes to this? It might be your evening peace. It might be quiet time for journaling. It might be rest or reflection. When you say no, you're not being rude. You're being real. You're not rejecting someone. You're protecting your alignment. That is self-respect. The same principle applies to work. So many people drown in tasks because they're terrified to set boundaries. They fear saying no to a boss, a colleague, or a client. But the Stoics would challenge you, is this task truly yours to carry? If not, why are you lifting it? Your time, your energy, your decisions, these are within your control. And giving them away carelessly is not service, it's surrender. Seneca warned, do not surrender your life to the crowd. He believed your soul should serve something noble, not be scattered across trivial requests. To be clear, Stoicism isn't about coldness or withdrawal. The Stoics valued justice and service, but service must come from strength, not burnout. You cannot pour from a vessel that's already empty. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. Yet in his writings, he constantly urged himself not to waste mental space on things that didn't matter. He wrote, "Stop letting your thoughts be carried away by what your neighbor is doing, unless it benefits both of you." Translation: don't burn your time on gossip, resentment, or obligations that lack purpose. So how do you begin practicing the Stoic art of saying no? Step 1. Pay attention. Start noticing where your time actually goes. Track how many hours you lose to social media. Count how often you say yes when you mean no. Observe where you feel resentful. Those are the places where boundaries are missing. Ask yourself honestly, do I say yes because I want to, or because I'm afraid not to? Fear of rejection, desire for approval, insecurity about standing firm. These fears are costing you your life. Step 2. Summon courage. Saying no will make you uncomfortable. It may disappoint others. It might feel awkward. But Epictetus was clear. If you want to live differently, you must be willing to appear different. Courage is a form of self-care because it frees you from being a prisoner to perception. Each time you say no with integrity, you're not closing yourself off. You're carving out space to grow. Step 3. Build discipline. One strong no isn't enough. This is a practice, just like morning reflection or journaling. You must guard your time like a soldier guards a wall. Every meaningless yes is a hole in that wall. If you don't defend your time, distractions will flood in and consume you. But if you hold your ground, if you choose wisely what deserves your attention, your life begins to feel intentional again. And here's the secret. Freedom doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing what matters, deeply and deliberately. Imagine how your life would change if you mastered this habit. Think of the time you'd reclaim by refusing shallow conversations, the energy you'd preserve by declining draining relationships, the clarity you'd gain by saying no to chaos. That time could go to your craft, to your peace, to your purpose, to the people who truly matter. Saying no isn't deprivation, it's liberation. In today's culture, people often equate busyness with success, but the Stoics would call that slavery. They believed that greatness comes from focus, not frenzy. Marcus Aurelius didn't count his success by how many tasks he checked off, but by how well he lived in harmony with his values. So ask yourself, am I living by what I truly value? Or am I just filling my schedule with noise? Every no is an invitation to return to your core. At the deepest level, this habit is an act of love. To guard your time is to say, my life is meaningful. To protect your energy is to say, my peace matters. To decline what drains you is to open space for what fulfills you. You're not shutting the world out. You're creating space to live fully inside it. This is the paradox of Stoic self-care. By narrowing, you expand. By refusing, you regain. By setting boundaries, you find freedom. Start today. Reflect on where your time is leaking, where your yes is costing you. Then begin, one no at a time. Don't say it with anger. Don't say it with arrogance. Say it with calm conviction. Say no because you love yourself enough to choose purpose over pressure. Say no because your hours are priceless. Say no because your peace is not negotiable. This is the 7th Stoic habit of self-care, the art of saying no. When you protect your time and energy, you discover that self-love isn't softness, it's strength. It's not indulgence, it's discipline. And in that discipline, you become untouchable. Habit 6. Practicing voluntary discomfort, building strength through challenge. Most people today chase comfort as if it were the ultimate goal. They want soft cushions, instant gratification, fast entertainment, and quick fixes for every inconvenience. Modern society runs on the promise that life should be smooth, painless, and easy. And yet, paradoxically, the easier life becomes, the weaker people feel. Anxiety climbs, depression rises, resilience shrinks. Why? Because the human soul wasn't built for ease alone. 2,000 years ago, the Stoics already understood what we're only starting to rediscover. Without resistance, the soul withers. Without hardship, we become hollow. True self-care, in their view, meant choosing to face discomfort before life forced it upon you. That brings us to the 6th Stoic habit. Embracing voluntary discomfort, not to suffer needlessly, but to grow unshakable. Seneca taught this principle with clarity. In his letters to his friend Lucilius, he advised, "Spend some days every month living with less. Eat simple food, wear rough clothes, sleep without luxury, and ask yourself, is this what I feared?" The point wasn't punishment, it was preparation. By intentionally stepping into discomfort, he was training himself, physically, emotionally, and mentally, so that when real adversity came, he wouldn't break. He'd already practiced. This is the essence of Stoic self-care. Build strength now, so you're not shattered later. In our world of constant convenience, this wisdom is more necessary than ever. People panic when the Wi-Fi cuts out. They spiral when their food order is late. They feel lost without air conditioning or their favorite creature comfort. Mild inconvenience becomes a full-blown crisis. The Stoics would shake their heads. They knew that life will become hard eventually, through sickness, loss, betrayal, or aging. And if you've never trained your body or mind to endure anything, you'll collapse when the real storms come. Voluntary discomfort isn't about hurting yourself. It's about lifting weights for the soul. So what does this look like in practice? It could be as simple as fasting for a day, skipping a meal and discovering that hunger doesn't control you. It might mean taking a cold shower, enduring the shock, and realizing you can breathe through resistance. It could mean walking instead of driving, sleeping on the floor, giving up comforts for a few hours or a day just to remind yourself, I can do hard things. Each one of these acts is a message to your mind. You are tougher than you think. Epictetus, who was born into slavery and endured a crippled body, knew this deeply. He taught his students not to flee hardship, but to treat it like training. He compared life to a match between wrestlers. You don't get stronger by avoiding struggle. You get stronger by stepping into it, again and again. He said, difficulties show what men are. The tougher the conditions, the more glory in overcoming them. This wasn't just a Stoic idea. It's now confirmed by science. Modern psychology calls it hormesis. Small doses of stress make the body and mind stronger. Think of exercise. You stress your muscles, they tear, and they grow back tougher. The mind works the same way. Cold exposure, fasting, endurance. Each one is a controlled challenge, a message to your nervous system that discomfort is not danger. The Stoics didn't need neuroscience to understand this. They knew it intuitively, and they lived it. But remember, voluntary discomfort isn't only physical. It's also emotional. It's also mental. It could be sitting in silence instead of reaching for distraction, having that tough conversation you've been avoiding, turning off the entertainment and facing your own thoughts. It could be choosing stillness when every part of you wants escape. Each of these acts of restraint builds something inside you: resolve, dignity, and power. That's the true purpose of discomfort, not punishment, liberation. Imagine two people. One avoids all hardship, lives in luxury. The other regularly trains in discomfort. Now imagine tragedy strikes, a loss, a betrayal, a life change. Who endures? The one who's trained for adversity, the one who's felt pain before and knows how to meet it head-on. The Stoics didn't wait for the storm to arrive. They built shelter in advance, inside themselves. This habit isn't about suffering for the sake of it. It's about proving to yourself that your peace doesn't depend on luxury. That comfort isn't your master. Marcus Aurelius could have surrounded himself with decadence. He was emperor. But he chose simplicity. He wore plain robes, ate plain meals, slept on hard surfaces. He wrote in his meditations, "You can live free from compulsion and enjoy tranquility. even if the whole world cries out against you. He knew your strength doesn't come from outside. It grows within. Voluntary discomfort is how you feed that strength. So how can you apply this? Try this. Tomorrow morning, instead of grabbing your phone, sit in silence. Feel the pull of distraction. Let it pass. Breathe through it. Another day, skip a meal. Feel the hunger. Watch it come and go. You survived. Take a cold shower, not to punish yourself, but to practice resilience. Sleep on the floor. Realize a soft bed is a luxury, not a necessity. Walk when you could drive. Carry your groceries. Put effort into something that could have been effortless, on purpose. Every one of these acts is small, but together they forge something immense: self-trust. Seneca gave clear instructions. Set aside a few days a month to live with the bare minimum, then ask, is this what I feared? You'll discover that what you feared was illusion. You'll learn that comfort is not survival, and that you are capable of more than you believed. This is not deprivation, it's empowerment. When you experience hunger and realize you don't need to panic, your fear fades. When you endure cold and stay calm, your control rises. When you embrace discomfort on your terms, you free yourself from fear of losing comfort. That's priceless. This habit also transforms how you experience pleasure. Once you practice doing without, small comforts feel rich. Food tastes better. A soft bed feels like luxury. A warm day feels like a gift. Gratitude deepens. Epictetus reminded his students not to mourn what they lacked, but to give thanks for what they had. Voluntary discomfort sharpens this perspective. It turns routine into privilege. But be careful. This habit must be practiced with wisdom. The Stoics weren't masochists. They didn't advocate constant struggle or self-inflicted harm. The goal is training, not punishment. Discomfort must be moderate, controlled, intentional. Too much becomes ego. Too little becomes indulgence. Balance is key. Practice discomfort to strengthen, not to suffer. Each time you do it, you repeat a powerful message. I am not afraid of hardship. I am prepared for it. That's love, not the indulgent kind, but the warrior kind. You love your future self enough to train today. You care enough to become someone who won't collapse under stress. Because life will test you. You will face loss, betrayal, pain. The only question is, will you be ready? And when you've trained in discomfort, your answer will be, yes. I am ready. I have practiced. I will endure. This is the sixth Stoic habit of self-care, practicing voluntary discomfort. It may feel unnatural in a world that worships ease, but it leads to something rare, a soul that cannot be shaken, and that, more than comfort, is what lasts. Habit 5. Journaling with brutal honesty, a mirror for the Stoic soul. We live in an age flooded with noise, endless scrolls of content, constant alerts, non-stop chatter, and opinions flooding every corner of your attention. You know the latest updates from celebrities, but you barely know the current state of your own mind. You have data, but no direction, movement, but no meaning. And this is where the Stoics offer a powerful correction. They remind us that one of the most loving acts you can do for yourself is also the most confronting: to sit quietly and face your own truth. Not the filtered version you show the world, not the curated image, but the raw, unedited reality of your inner life. This brings us to the fifth Stoic habit of self-care, the discipline of journaling with brutal honesty. This was not an abstract concept. Marcus Aurelius did it every day. His meditations were never written for others. They were deeply personal entries, a private conversation with his own conscience. In those pages, he reminded himself to be patient, to stay just, to resist anger, and to live with courage. He confessed his struggles. He examined his character. He corrected his thinking. That's what Stoic journaling is, a mirror for the mind and a workshop for the soul. Seneca practiced it too. Each night, before sleep, he'd review his day. What did I do right? Where did I stumble? What passion tempted me? Where did I act nobly or fail to? He wasn't punishing himself. He was refining himself. That's the purpose of honest journaling. Not self-criticism, but self-alignment. Epictetus also insisted on this discipline. To him, philosophy wasn't just talk, it was training, and training required daily feedback. You can't grow if you don't know where you stand. Today, journaling is popular, but often shallow. Pretty notebooks, inspirational quotes, vague affirmations. The Stoics had no interest in that. They didn't journal to feel good. They journaled to get real. And that's why this habit is so powerful. Because real self-care isn't just about soothing. It's about truth. Why is honesty the deepest form of care? Because the most dangerous lies are the ones we tell ourselves. If you lie to others, they may believe you. But if you lie to yourself, you lose your path. You drift, confused and conflicted, and you don't know why. To truly grow, you must face your life with ruthless clarity. And journaling is how you do it. It's like cleaning a wound. It might sting, but it prevents deeper harm. When you put thoughts on paper, you slow them down. You give shape to chaos. You turn emotion into information, and suddenly, your path becomes clearer. So how do you journal like a Stoic? You begin each night or each morning with honest questions. Where did I act in line with my values? Where did I stray? What fear controlled me today? Where did I show courage? Did I act with wisdom, justice, self-restraint? You're not writing for applause. No one will read this but you. This is not performance. This is practice. And with each entry, you carve your character deeper. Modern psychology supports this practice. Therapists know that journaling improves focus, reduces anxiety, and strengthens emotional awareness. Why? Because when you write things down, you gain distance from them. You see patterns. You spot excuses. You identify what needs changing. Marcus Aurelius wasn't trying to suppress anger. He was questioning it, challenging it. He was training himself to see emotion not as fact, but as a signal. This is cognitive reframing, centuries before it had a name. The Stoics discovered it first. But there's one non-negotiable condition: brutal honesty. Most people journal what they wish they felt, what they think they should believe. But that's not journaling, that's pretending. Stoic journaling demands that you admit the full truth, even when it hurts. Write as though confessing to the gods. No masks, no performance, just truth. If you were petty, admit it. If you were cowardly, say so. If you were unfair, own it. Because once you see your flaws clearly, they lose their grip. Naming the darkness is how you start to lift it. Seneca wrote, "I keep watch over myself and go over each day, reviewing every thought and action. But the habit only works if it's grounded in truth." Honesty is not harshness, it's healing. So how do you begin? Start small. Take 10 quiet minutes at the end of your day. Sit with a pen and a question. What did I learn about myself today? Did I show restraint? Did I act out of fear? Did I seek virtue or comfort? Measure yourself not by productivity or appearance, but by character, and be specific, be real, be complete. Use the 4 cardinal virtues, wisdom, justice, courage, temperance, as your compass. Ask how closely you walked with each one. You'll begin to notice patterns. Your weak spots will reveal themselves. Your strengths will emerge more clearly. And your growth, slow and steady, will become visible. Some days, you won't want to write. You'll feel tired, ashamed, or simply resistant. Those are the days it matters most, because avoiding truth is how weakness grows. Facing it is how you reclaim your strength. The Stoics didn't flinch from discomfort. They leaned into it. They knew that progress isn't painless, but it is worth it. And over time, your journal becomes something precious. Not just a record, but a map. It shows you how far you've come, how often you've fallen, and how consistently you've risen. Even Marcus Aurelius, with all his power, needed these daily reminders. He didn't trust his status to keep him strong. He relied on reflection. And so can you. This habit also deepens your gratitude. When you review your day, you begin to notice things you'd otherwise miss. A kind glance, a moment of stillness, a breath of peace, the gift of simply being alive. Marcus once wrote, "Each morning, remember what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to love, to enjoy." Daily reflection magnifies this truth. It brings both your flaws and your blessings into the light. And with that, it builds a life of depth. Finally, journaling creates continuity. Life flies by. Days blur. Weeks vanish. Without reflection, it's easy to look up after years and ask, what happened to me? A journal is an anchor, a timeline, a testimony. It shows who you were, so you can choose who to become. This is why Meditations still moves readers centuries later. Not because Marcus wrote grand philosophy, but because he captured the daily work of shaping the soul. You may never publish your journal, but it will shape you in ways the world can't see, yet will feel in how you live. Because at its core, journaling with brutal honesty is not punishment. It is a profound act of love. To say to yourself, I care enough to look. I respect myself enough to tell the truth. I love myself enough to grow. That is not indulgence, that is discipline. That is integrity. And that is freedom. So tonight, before you sleep, open a notebook. Write not what sounds good, but what is true. Admit where you failed. Celebrate where you grew. Recommit to your path. Do it every day. And slowly, steadily, you'll transform. You'll know yourself. And through knowing yourself, you'll learn how to truly love yourself. This is the 5th Stoic habit of self-care, journaling with brutal honesty, the mirror of the Stoic soul. Habit 4, the art of negative visualization, training the mind for life's blows. Most people live as if tomorrow is guaranteed. They assume their health will last, that their loved ones will always be near, that their routines will remain uninterrupted, that comfort will continue without question. They cling to the illusion of permanence, believing that what they have now will always be. So when life changes, when pain strikes, when loss arrives, when the unexpected happens, they're shattered. Not just by the event, but by their lack of readiness for it. The Stoics knew better. They recognized that much of human suffering stems not from what happens, but from being unprepared when it does. This leads us to the 4th Stoic habit of self-care, negative visualization, also known as Premeditatio Malorum, the mental rehearsal of adversity. Marcus Aurelius made this a daily practice. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that guide your thoughts, words, and actions. This wasn't meant to scare him. It was meant to wake him up. By remembering death, he sharpened his presence. By contemplating loss, he increased his gratitude. By facing fragility, he focused on what mattered. That mindset didn't make him gloomy. It made him disciplined. Seneca offered the same advice. He urged his readers to imagine potential hardships, not to dwell on them in fear, but to rehearse their arrival. He wrote, "He who anticipates misfortune lightens its impact. By seeing it coming, he weakens its power." This is the Stoic strategy. Face suffering in the mind, so you are not destroyed by it in reality. Negative visualization is not pessimism, it's mental training. It is learning to say, yes, loss is possible. Pain may come, and if it does, I'll be ready. Epictetus took this concept even deeper. He advised his students, when you kiss your child, remind yourself, he may not be here tomorrow. To modern ears, that sounds harsh, even cruel. But Epictetus wasn't promoting detachment. He was encouraging deep presence. When you understand that something or someone you love is mortal, you stop taking them for granted. You stop rushing through moments. You start cherishing them. You love with urgency, not assumption. This is the paradox. By contemplating loss, you increase appreciation. By imagining death, you multiply life. In our modern world, we hide from this practice. We avoid thinking about loss. We sugarcoat mortality. We bury discomfort with distractions. But when tragedy comes, and it will, we're caught off guard. We fall apart because we spent our lives pretending it wouldn't happen. The Stoics would call this self-delusion, not self-care. True care isn't hiding from reality, it's preparing for it. So how do you put this habit into action? Begin small. Each morning, imagine a simple disruption. Your commute delayed. Someone insults you. Plans change suddenly. Ask yourself, if that happens today, how will I respond? With patience, calm, and grace. You're not inviting problems, you're rehearsing clarity. So when the challenge comes, it doesn't blindside you. You've already trained your mind to greet it. Go further. Imagine losing a job, losing comfort, facing public criticism, and ask, what remains in my control? What virtues can I still practice? The Stoics believed that while externals can be taken, character cannot. You may lose your position, your possessions, even your health. But no one can rob you of your ability to think clearly, to act justly, to face fear with courage. That's the power of this exercise. It shows you what can't be taken from you. And yes, go deeper still. Contemplate mortality, not to be morbid, but to wake up. Think, if today were my last day, how would I live? Would you rush? Would you waste time? Would you speak differently to the people you love? Let that thought settle, not to make you fearful, but to make you intentional. When you imagine loss, you stop sleepwalking through life. You love more fiercely, you focus more clearly, you live more fully. The Stoics weren't afraid of death because they practiced facing it every day. For them, death wasn't a curse, it was a compass, a reminder to use time well, to forgive quickly, to act with virtue, now, not later. Modern psychology echoes this. Studies show that mortality salience, consciously reflecting on the fact that life is finite, leads to increased gratitude, stronger values, deeper relationships, a focus on what truly matters. What the Stoics practiced instinctively, science now confirms. But still, many resist this habit. Why? because it's uncomfortable, and that's precisely why it works. Discomfort sharpens awareness. Painful thoughts build resilience. When you regularly imagine loss, you become harder to shake. Life's blows may still sting, but they won't break you. Let's ground this in examples. A person suddenly loses their income. If they visualize this scenario, they don't crumble. They act quickly, wisely. They adjust. Or someone loses a loved one. If they've already practiced gratitude and acceptance, they still grieve, but not with collapse. They savor the moments that remain. Even minor irritations, traffic, delays, rudeness, become easier to bear. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Today I will meet people who are selfish, rude, dishonest." Why? So he wouldn't be caught off guard. So when the world behaved as it often does, he remained steady. You can do the same. Expect resistance, and you won't be rattled when it arrives. This practice is not about wallowing, it's about gaining perspective. When you train your mind to confront loss, you uncover what's truly precious. And when you see what's precious, you live with greater care. Life's fragility becomes your fuel, not your fear. So tonight, before you sleep, pause, close your eyes, and ask, what if this were my last day? What would I regret? What would I be grateful for? What would I do differently tomorrow? Let those answers guide your next steps. Write them down if you must. Reflect on them deeply. Then live from that place. Because every moment you waste assuming life will continue uninterrupted is a moment lost forever. But every moment you live with the awareness of loss is a moment filled with meaning. This is the fourth Stoic habit of self-care, the art of negative visualization. It's not about pessimism, it's about preparation. It's not fear, it's focus. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. By imagining loss, you learn to treasure what you have. By rehearsing death, you learn how to live. And in that awareness, you build the most resilient form of self-love there is. A love that knows nothing is promised, and so it gives everything now. Habit 3. Cultivating emotional control. Becoming the master, not the puppet. In a world that worships expression, restraint is seen as weakness. You're told to be real, to let it out, to follow your feelings wherever they lead. But the Stoics knew better. They didn't demonize emotion. They understood it. They studied it. And most importantly, they trained themselves not to be ruled by it. Because emotions, if left unchecked, become your master. They pull you into chaos. They hijack your mind. They turn you into a puppet. That's why the third Stoic habit of self-care is this: emotional control. Not suppression, not denial, but command. Epictetus said it clearly. It's not things that upset us. It's our opinions about things. Let that sink in. It's not the insult that hurts. It's your decision to be offended. It's not the delay that angers. It's your belief that it shouldn't happen. It's not failure that crushes. It's the story you tell yourself about what it means. The Stoics believed that emotional pain is optional because perception is a choice, and they practiced that belief every day. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. To revoke, to reclaim, to choose again. That's the root of emotional control. Not shutting down your heart, but becoming its steward." Modern psychology now echoes this. The science of cognitive behavioral therapy, inspired by Stoicism, teaches the same thing. Change your thoughts, and you change your feelings. But that doesn't mean feelings are bad. Emotions are signals, alerts. They carry messages. Anger says, something feels unjust. Fear says, there's danger. Sadness says, you've lost something you value. Those messages matter, but the Stoics would ask, are you reacting blindly to the message or responding wisely? That's the line between chaos and command. Think of it like this. A storm brews inside. The clouds gather. The wind howls. The rain begins. You can scream at the storm, or you can step back, observe it, breathe, and wait. That pause is everything. It's the difference between lashing out and standing still, between burning bridges and building patience. That pause is where the Stoic lives. Let's make this practical. When anger rises, pause. Ask, what story am I telling myself right now? Is it true? Is it useful? Most of the time, you'll find your story is exaggerated, dramatic, unfiltered. That's the emotion talking, not reason. When fear grabs your throat, pause. Ask, is the threat real or imagined? Am I projecting disaster or seeing clearly? Often fear is your mind rehearsing failure instead of preparing for success. Reframe the thought, redirect the energy. This is what emotional control looks like in real time. It's not always calm seas. It's learning to sail despite the storm. And this skill can be trained, like a muscle, like a discipline. Step 1 is awareness. Catch the emotion early, before it owns you. Step 2 is naming it. Label it. Anger, fear, jealousy, sadness. When you name it, you create distance. It becomes something you have, not something you are. Step 3 is inquiry. Question the emotion. What caused it? Is it proportional? Is it helpful? Does it align with your values? Step 4 is response. Choose your next move, deliberately, because emotions scream for reaction. But Stoic strength whispers, pause. You can feel and still lead yourself. You can ache and still act with honor. You can tremble and still move forward. Let's explore an example. Imagine you're betrayed by a friend. Your trust is broken. Your heart burns with rage and sadness. The old pattern says, lash out. Say something you'll regret. Burn it all down. But the Stoic pattern says, breathe, feel, then examine. Ask, what's within my control? How should I respond to preserve my character? Maybe that means confronting them calmly. Maybe it means walking away in silence. Maybe it means forgiving them, not for their sake, but for yours. That's emotional control, not icy distance, but deliberate direction. Because here's the truth. Uncontrolled emotions are weapons. You turn them on others and eventually on yourself. Controlled emotions become tools. You use them for wisdom, growth, and strength. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength isn't never feeling pain. It's not letting pain decide your path. It's standing in the fire and not becoming fire. And when people tell you emotional control is cold or repressive, remember this. It's not about bottling emotions. It's about not letting them break the bottle. The Stoic doesn't reject emotion. He respects it, but he doesn't hand it the wheel. He drives. You can too. Begin by tracking your triggers. What pulls you off balance? What people or moments spark overreactions? Write them down. Create space between stimulus and response. Then practice responding from your values, not your moods. Ask, What would the best version of me do right now? What would courage do? What would wisdom say? Let your character speak louder than your feelings. This is the third Stoic habit of self-care, emotional control, not as a burden, but as freedom. Because once you master your emotions, you stop being pushed by everything. You stop fearing your own mind. You become a fortress. And when storms rise, you don't get swept away. You anchor deeper. In that space, peace is born. Habit 2. Journaling for self-mastery. Speak with the page before the world. There's a battlefield inside your mind. Every day, ideas clash, emotions rise, memories haunt, regrets whisper, fears multiply. And most people walk into that battlefield unarmed, hoping for peace but bracing for war. But the Stoic has a weapon, a practice, a sanctuary, the journal. It's not just a diary, it's not just notes on your day. It's the second Stoic habit of self-care, journaling for self-mastery. Before speaking to the world, the Stoic speaks with the page. Marcus Aurelius did this every morning and every night. His journal, what we now call meditations, wasn't written for others. It was written for himself, a king wrestling with his own thoughts, a philosopher disciplining his soul. He used the journal to remind himself of what matters, to rehearse virtue, to question his impulses, to sharpen his clarity, and you can do the same. Because here's the truth. If you don't examine your thoughts, they'll govern you in silence. They'll drag you into anxiety. They'll whisper lies. They'll disguise themselves as truth, unless you expose them. Writing is exposure. Writing is X-ray vision. It makes the invisible visible. You think you're angry at someone, but write it down and you realize you're hurt. You think you're lost, but after 10 lines, you see you just needed clarity. You think your day was meaningless, but after reflecting, you notice quiet victories. The journal shows you what's real, and the act of writing gives your mind something it rarely has in today's world: stillness. There's a reason why nearly every great thinker, from Seneca to Einstein, from Aurelius to Churchill, kept a journal, not for likes, not for legacy, for awareness. Let's make it practical. You don't need hours. You don't need fancy tools. You don't need to be a poet. You need 10 minutes, a pen, a page, and honesty. Try this structure. What did I do today? Write the facts, not the fiction. Track your actions. What did I do well? Celebrate your virtues. Reinforce your good. What did I do poorly? Without judgment, just awareness. Name it, own it. What can I do better tomorrow? Make a vow, a decision, a declaration to yourself. That's it. Simple, sacred, stoic. And if you're writing in the morning, try this. What am I grateful for today? Gratitude focuses your mind on what's present, not what's missing. What challenge might I face today? And how will I respond with virtue? This is Premeditatio Malorum, negative visualization. It trains you for battle before it begins. What do I choose to embody today? Choose a virtue: patience, discipline, courage, compassion. Write it down. Live it forward. You might wonder, why does this work? Because writing slows down the storm. When your thoughts are spinning, the pen slows them. When emotions swirl, the paper grounds them. It's hard to lie to yourself while staring at your own handwriting, and this process builds an inner mirror. Every day you write, you sharpen your self-awareness, you catch patterns, you break loops, you reconnect with your intentional self, the part of you that's choosing, not drifting. Seneca wrote, "Each day we should call ourselves to account. What bad habit have I cured today? What progress have I made? What virtue have I acquired?" This is journaling, not for performance but for progress. You're not impressing anyone. You're becoming someone. You're building a mental gym, reps of reflection, sets of self-honesty. And over time, the page becomes your quiet coach. It listens, it reveals, it reminds. And on the days when the world is too loud, when criticism hurts, when doubts creep in, when plans collapse, you return to that page and remember. You're more than your failures. You're more than your emotions. You're a work in progress. And you're paying attention. That's the power of journaling. It's not therapy. It's not productivity. It's not art. It's ownership. It says, I see what I did. I see who I am. I see what I must become. And the beauty? No one has to read it. You're not seeking applause. You're seeking alignment. That's why the Stoics loved this habit. Because the only thing worse than a chaotic world is a chaotic inner world. And the journal. It organizes your inner house. It builds mental discipline. It becomes a friend that always tells the truth. So write. Write when you win, so you remember how. Write when you fail, so you learn faster. Write when you're unsure, so the fog clears. The pen doesn't just record your life, it refines it. So take up your pen, not to escape yourself, but to return to yourself. This is the second Stoic habit of self-care. Journaling for self-mastery. Not a hobby, not a trend, a path. A sacred mirror that helps you see and shape the person you're becoming. Habit 1. The power of morning reflection. Win the day before it begins. The world doesn't wait for you to be ready. It crashes into your life the moment you open your eyes. Notifications, noise, demands, distractions. Before you've even taken a breath, your attention is under siege, and most people surrender. They wake up and fall straight into the current, reacting, scrolling, rushing, surviving. But not you. Not anymore. Because the first Stoic habit of self-care is this: morning reflection. Before the world speaks, you speak to yourself. Before noise, there is clarity. Before reaction, intention. Before obligation, sovereignty. The Stoics believed your day doesn't begin when you open your eyes. It begins when you choose your mindset. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." And he didn't just mean gratitude. He meant preparation, orientation, fortification. Each morning he would write to himself, not as emperor, but as a man training his mind. You will meet people today who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. He reminded himself of reality, not to dread it, but to own it. That's the Stoic way. You don't hope for an easy day. You prepare for a meaningful one. You don't wait for peace to arrive. You create it in the quiet before the storm. Here's how. Start your day deliberately. Before your phone, before email, before the world tells you who to be. Take 5 to 15 minutes for stillness. No inputs, just you and your breath. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I choose to be today? What obstacles might I face? And how can I respond with virtue? What am I grateful for right now, in this moment? What am I avoiding that I must face? Write it. Say it. Sit with it. This is not about perfection. It's about direction. The Stoic morning is a compass. It doesn't remove the chaos of the world. It reminds you that your reaction is your power. Think of it like sharpening a sword before battle. You're not waiting to be attacked. You're ready to move with poise. Modern psychology calls this implementation intention. When you pre-plan your reactions to future events, you dramatically increase your resilience and discipline. The Stoics discovered this centuries ago. They didn't stumble into composure, they trained it every morning. And you can too. Add to your reflection a passage from a Stoic text, a single virtue to carry with you, like courage, humility, temperance, patience. A mental rehearsal of your duties, with calm, with presence. Imagine the conversations ahead, the people who might annoy you, the challenges that might appear. Then picture your best self, not reacting, but responding. Not controlling the world, but mastering yourself. That's the win, because your day will test you. Someone will cut you off in traffic. Someone will disappoint you. Something will break, delay, or shift. Plans will collapse. But if you've reflected, if you've grounded yourself, you will not collapse with them. You'll stand, rooted, because you chose your values before the world gave you its problems. This habit is ancient, but it's never been more urgent. In a world of rush, silence is rebellion. In a culture of distraction, attention is power. In a time of emotional contagion, groundedness is a superpower. So reflect. Rise with purpose. Stand in the quiet. Claim your day before anyone else does. Because if you don't anchor your mind, someone else will hijack it. The Stoic says, "Today, I will face the world, but I will not let it shape me. I will shape how I face it." That's why morning reflection matters. It's not about routines, it's about returning to yourself. Before comparison, before chaos, before noise. The moment your eyes open, remember, you are not your schedule, you are not your inbox, you are not what others need from you. You are what you choose to become today. And the first step to becoming that is remembering it. That's what morning reflection gives you. This is the first Stoic habit of self-care, claiming your mind before the world does. Not with pressure, not with performance, with presence. And in that presence, you don't just survive the day, you lead it. Conclusion: the quiet strength of a Stoic life. You began this journey searching for something more. Not noise, not perfection, not applause, but something solid, something true, something timeless. And what you've uncovered is this: self-care is not self-indulgence. It's not about luxury, escape, or avoidance. It's about alignment with values, with virtue, with reality. The Stoics didn't chase comfort. They cultivated character. They didn't mask their emotions. They mastered their reactions. And you? You've walked the same path through 8 habits that don't just change how you feel. They change who you become. You've learned to begin your day with clarity through morning reflection. You've embraced honest awareness through journaling for self-mastery. You've learned to sit in silence and in that stillness reconnect with strength through solitude. You've mastered the power of boundaries through the courage to say no. You've trained your resilience through voluntary discomfort. You've reclaimed your mind through the art of negative visualization. You've built emotional sovereignty through emotional discipline. And you've remembered your higher self through the compass of virtue. These aren't hacks. They're not fleeting trends. They're timeless practices, anchors in a stormy world. Because here's the truth. The world is loud. It pulls you in 1,000 directions. It sells you quick fixes, distractions, dopamine traps. It tells you that you are never enough. Unless you buy more, post more, do more, chase more. But the Stoic knows you are enough when you live with intention. You are strong when you align with virtue. you are free, when you govern your inner world. That's the quiet strength of a Stoic life. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be praised. It needs to be lived, day by day, habit by habit, choice by choice. Because greatness doesn't come in one grand gesture. It comes in small, sacred decisions, repeated with discipline. Like sitting for 5 minutes in reflection when the world says rush. Like saying no when your fear says say yes. Like walking into discomfort, knowing it will sharpen your soul. These aren't chores. They are declarations. Declarations that say, I refuse to live on autopilot. I refuse to be a victim of my impulses. I choose the hard, honest, honorable path. Because the Stoic knows. You won't always feel strong. You won't always feel ready. You won't always feel supported. But you can still show up. That's real self-care. It's not about feeling better. It's about being better. Through practice, through principle, through presence. And as you walk forward from here, let these habits walk with you. Let them become your compass in the chaos. Let them remind you, you're not here to impress. You're here to express your highest self. So carry them into your mornings, into your decisions, into your silence, into your storms. Because no one will live your life for you. No one will build your character for you. No one will calm your mind for you. That's your sacred task. But you are not alone. You walk with the wisdom of centuries, with the strength of reason, with the fire of discipline. So, live like it. Live as if Marcus were watching, as if Epictetus were coaching, as if Seneca were writing your story, as if your future self were thanking you already. And remember, self-care isn't selfish. It's foundational. Because when you are strong, others feel it. When you are calm, others breathe easier. When you are grounded, you become a quiet force of good. That's Stoicism. Not detachment from life, but engagement with life from a place of strength. And it begins with you. So take a breath, pick a habit, and begin again with presence, with peace, with power.